So in this session basically we are going to learn a bit more about simple programs that could be done using Python. So I'm using Jupyter Notebook. So here the first one is nothing but, as you all know, that print off, how it will work, so you can print it. Now the second one is actually to swap the variables, right? So for that, for you to understand that, so in this example, if you could see, we have a box, right? So say we have a box which is called as x, and this got the value. Say just imagine that you are getting the value from the user as 5. Okay, now y, so there is another box which is y, and you say just imagine that you are getting the values as 6. Now what are you doing? The only thing which you are doing here is, just imagine that you are going to come out with a variable. So x is equal to 5. So we have x, so there is a box x and which has got the variable 5, right? And there is another box y which has got the value 10, right? Now what you are going to do is that, so either you can actually also take the values from the user, whichever way. So just to have a clear idea, we are just taking the values directly. Now this is the way that we are actually shifting the variables or swapping the variables. So for that we are actually using a third box and its name is temp, right? So now let's see how is each step, how is it all these things doing. So the first one is that temp is equal to x. So that means that the value of the x will be substituted to temp. So what is the value of the temp? Temp will be, so here the first case, okay, so the temp will be 5, right? So the temp box will have 5. Now x is equal to y. So what will happen? X will become y. Y is actually 10. So x will become 10. So that means that now the box of x is basically having the value 10, right? Now y is equal to temp, okay? So y will get the value what? Temp. What is the value of the temp? Y. So that means that now y will get the value 5, right? So this is your temp box, this is your x box. So when you now look at your x box, it has got 10, okay, and your y box, it has got y. So actually you have actually swapped the values, right? So now your x box will contain 10, right, and your y box is containing what? The value y, right? So now you have actually easily swapped the value. So this is one example of swapping actually in this way, where we are actually using a third variable, that is temporary variable. Okay, now you can actually try working on swapping the values of the variable without using the temporary variable. You can actually think about it and check. So now when you look at this example, when you run this, what will happen? You will get the value. Okay, so here sometimes when you run the things, you will not get the answers. In that cases, you have to make sure that go to the kernel, okay, go to the kernel and restart. Okay, so you will have to restart the kernel, okay, then only it will work. Okay, so sometimes your kernels, if it is not restarted properly, the kernel is ready now, so at that particular thing you have to do that. Okay, don't worry why is it not working. So now the swapping value will be 10 and 5, so x and y will be swapped. Now the third one is actually reversing the string, right? So this is simple reversing the string function. So there is a string 2 where you actually get the string from the user. So the input is the function where you can actually get the string from the user, right? So you are actually getting the string from the user. Now what you are going to do is that you are actually printing string reverse of str2. So what is string reverse? So string reverse is nothing but this particular function. So you know that in Python def is a function. So the string reverse is the name of the function, and how many parameters are there for the function? A string. So whenever you call string reverse of str2, whatever be the string that the user has inputted, that would be actually passed over as the parameter to this particular str1, right? Now initially you have a reverse string which is actually given as none, there is no value in it. Now you are actually indexing. Index is equal to length of the string 1, that is nothing but simply give you the length of the str1 which the user has entered. Now while index is greater than, so this is a simple loop, right? You are using a while loop. So while index is greater than 0, that means say if the length of the string is 5, so 5 greater than 0, what you have to do? reverse string is equal to reverse string plus str of 1 and index minus 1, right? And index has to be reduced each one, and you have to return str1. So that return value will be actually printed here as part of it. So when you run this particular program, say you are actually entering a string, say Cine, okay? So you will actually take each string at a time and you will actually reverse it. Now in order to have a clear idea about how it works, we will have a detailed lookup onto it. So just imagine that you have this reverse of the string, and as a user I entered the string as Cine, okay? So just imagine that I entered the string as Cine. So now I am actually passing, so string reverse of Cine, this is what is actually passed, okay? So now it comes over here. So initially my R string, so initially I'll just take this out. So initially my R string, I have a variable R str1, sorry, str1. So this is actually initially 0, or I mean like it's a simple one, so that means that it is actually 0, okay? So that is the meaning of it. So initially it is actually 0. So if I could say that R str1 initially it is equal, it is null, there is no string in it, it's an empty string, right? Now what you are going to do, now you are actually finding the index. So how will you find out index? Index is nothing but, index is length of str1. So what is length of str1? 1 2 3 4. So length of str1 is 4, okay? Now we will start the loop, okay? So how do we start the loop? So initially our loop is index greater than 0. So what is the value of index? Index is 4. So first iteration is 4 greater than 0, okay? 4 greater than 0, what you have to do? str1 is equal to, this is an assignment operation, okay? So assignment equality operator. So that means that the meaning of this line is that str1 is equal to rstr1 is equal to rstr1 plus str1 of index minus 1, okay? So what is the value of index? Index 4. What is then what would be the value of str of 4 minus 1? I, right? Now what you have to do, you have a string array, so you have actually nothing in this. So this is a string, it's an empty string initially, right? So what you have to do is that, so now your str1 will be equal to this null string, okay? There is nothing, plus str1 of index minus 1. What is index minus of 1? Index minus 1 is actually, index is 4 now, 4 minus 1 3. So that means the value I has to be taken, right? So that I value will be coming over here. That means that your str1 will have the value I, okay? Now what are you doing? You are actually doing index is equal to index minus 1. Now your index value is basically changed to, what is index value? 4 minus 1. What is 4 minus 1? 4 minus 1, your index value is becoming 3 now, okay? So will you end out of the loop? No, because still it is actually 3 is actually greater than 0. So still the loop will continue. So the next iteration will be, so this is your iteration 1. Now your iteration 2 will be 3 greater than 0. Yes, 3 is greater than 0. So now what you will do? So now your str1 already has, what is the value? 1 is there. I mean like I is there. So I, so already it has got I plus what you have to do? str1 of index minus 1. So what is the index value right now? Index value right now is 3. It is updated to 3. So 3 minus 1. Okay. So 3 minus 1 means you have n there, right? So you will have n. So that means that now your value inside str1 is in, and now what you have to do, the next step is index. Index value will be updated to index minus 1. Currently the index is 3. So 3 minus 1. So what will happen? It will be 2. Okay. So it will be 2. Okay. Now your index will be updated to 2. Will you come out of the loop? No, because 2 is still greater than 0, right? Now your third iteration where 2 is greater than 0. Yes, 2 is greater than 0. So now what you will do? Your str1 will be updated as, already you have, what is the current str1? str1 is in, right? Plus, now what you have to do? str of 2 minus 1. So what is 2 minus 1? I, right? So I, so your value will be in I. And now you have to update your index. Your index will be updated to 2 minus 1, that is 1. Now your fourth iteration. What is your fourth iteration? You have I here. That is 1, right? So 1 is greater than 0. Yes, 1 is greater than 0. Now what you have to do, str1 is equal to, what is your current str1? Str1 is ini, right, plus 1 minus 1, that is 0, so s, right. So your whole value will be inis. Now what you will do, you will update your index to 1 minus 1, so it is actually becoming 0. Now when you go and check 0 greater than 0, what will happen? The condition is false, okay, the condition goes to false. So if it is false, what you have to do, you have to return str1. So you will return str1. So what is there in str1? inis is there in str1. So what will be printed here? This value will be returned where? Here, right. And what will be printed? You will get the value printed as inis. So this will be printed, right. So this is how your whole iteration will happen. So your loop will run through all this iteration and finally you will get this value inis. Okay, so Cine is now actually shifted back to inis. I mean, like, this is how you will do a string reverse. Ma'am, is this the only way that you could do? No, there are different ways of doing it. There are even string functions directly available which you can reverse. So all these things are basically possible, but this is the raw method, or this is the basic method of how you could actually reverse a particular string. Okay, so now you know how to do a string reverse. So if you give a value like Django, okay, so now you know how this Django is actually getting reversed by using this particular method. Okay, so when you do this, when you run, okay, so this is again actually the, as I am not using it for some time, it is actually getting, we will restart it. Yes, restarting your kernel, so it will show you whether the kernel is actually ready or not. So once the kernel is ready, you could actually try working with this and you will get the answer. Okay, it will give you the answer. Okay, now in this example we are going to see an example multiplication table. So finally we need to print our multiplication table something like this. Okay, so this has to be printed like this. So before going over to printing a multiplication table with the outer loop and the inner loop and how to print it, I just want you to try these three. Okay, so this is nothing but using the range function in there is a range function in Python, and how can you actually use it. So before even moving to that, you could even try this. So this is like a selection statement, condition statement, so where you are using the number in range. Okay, you are given with a range and number in the range. So if the number is in the range, it will say it is present, else it will say not present, right. So in the same way here, there is a small example for I in range of 9. So range basically has got three different arguments. Okay, so range has got three different arguments. The first argument is basically a start argument, okay, and then you have a stop argument, and then you also have another argument called step. Okay, so range basically has got three different arguments. So I could just type it like this. So normally you have this range of, you will have start, and you will have to give a stop value, and you will have a step value, which is actually, which normally will be a optional one. So step could be an optional one. Step is optional. Okay, normally we don't give very often. Okay, so now, so just imagine here, so for I is equal to, for I in range of 9, right. So you have only given the what is that, the stop value. So start value is also optional at times. So start or stop could be optional. So if start is optional, then the default value of start, okay, default value of start will be, 0. Okay, default value of start is actually 0. Okay, so this is which you have to identify. So now for I is equal to I in range, so we are actually starting from 0. So 0 will be printed. Then what will happen? You will increment. This is a loop, right? Iteration. So you need to reach this particular stop value. Till then you will be incrementing it, and you will check for each and every value, and you will get the result. So this is how you will this is how a normal I in range will print. Now for I in range 4 and 9, so that means that what happens, now your start value specifically is 4, right, your stop value is 9, so you need to print all the values between the range what, 4 to 8, because it is -1, right. So here it is also, here also if you could see, like as you start from the 0, right? So 0 indexing, so you will start with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? So when you look at it, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these are the things which you will basically print. Now the next one is that there is a step criteria which is actually given to you, right? So if you have a step criteria, what it will actually print is that, so 4, after that actually it is 5, right? Instead of printing this 5, it will actually jump one step, okay? And what it will print? It will print 6. Then it has to print 7, but it will jump one step, okay? So it will take 2 steps. It will take the second value from there and actually print it, okay? So from 4 it will to the 4 to the 5, 5 to 6, right? So it is actually taken 2 steps and it has printed this particular value, right? From 6 you have to go to 7 and 7 to 8, so 2 steps, right? So you are actually printing it. So when you look at the result, you will have this 4, 6, 8, okay? So this is how actually you will have. So now when you look at now we will go and look at this multiplication function. So when you look at the multiplication function, right? So in the same way here, so your initial range of I, so your initial range of I is, what is that? I value is actually 2. 4 I is equal to 2. What is your j value? Your inner loop j is actually 1. Now what you have to print? You have to print I value, right? What is I value? I value is currently 2. Then you have to print this multiplication, right? That symbol has to be printed. Now j, what is the value of the j? J is actually 1. Now what you have to print? You have to print this equal to symbol. So it is actually I into j. It's a normal multiplication, so you will print 2. Now again, it will be incremented. Now j will be what? J will be 2. So when j will be, so you are still in the inner loop. You are not going to the outer loop because you are not broken the outer loop, okay? So now 2 into 2 will be 4. Like that you will print till what value you will print? You will print till j is equal to 10, right? So 2 into 10 is equal to 20, right? So now when you increment it, what happens? It comes out of the loop, and what will you do? You will actually increment your I value to 3. So when it is in the 3, so it will break here, right? It will break here. Now the condition is false, it will break here, and here also it will break, right? You will break. So what would be your answer? Your answer will be this particular table, right? So this is exactly what you are actually showing here in this example, right? So you have this range 2 to 3 and you are actually going from 1 to 11. So if you are actually 1 to 11, so basically it starts from 1 till 10. It will go till 1 to 10. So inner loop will run from 1 to 10 and the outer loop will basically run only for 2, right? Only for 2. So this is how basically it will happen, right? So you will get one multiplication table, right? So this is how the inner loop and the outer loop will work, right? So now next comes next you will learn about the pattern matching. So you are actually inputting, you are getting some input from the user and you are getting an input like enter the number of the rows. So it should be an integer, okay? And now you are actually having an outer loop and an inner loop and you are actually printing something. So what you are actually basically printing is that it's a pattern printing. It's not pattern matching, it's pattern printing, right? So you are actually going from I is equal to I in range 1 to n plus 1. Say if I have given 3 as the range, as the number of the rows, what I will do? I will go from the range 1 to 4, okay? Now my inner range of j will be what? 1 to again I plus 1. So initially whatever be my I, say I is initially 1, then my range of inner loop will be 1 plus 1, so 2. Then print I and end. End is nothing but a normal, what is that? I mean like end string. It's a empty string, right? End is a empty string. So here the end parameter in the print function is used to add any string, okay? So at the end of the output, what will you do? You will actually need this new line. So you so it will go to the at the end of the output of the print statement is in Python, right? It's a new line. It's a new line. So when it comes, it will come to the new line. So when you try this, basically you are entering the number of the rows 3. So here the n will become, so here the range is actually what? The range is from 1 to 4, okay? Now initially your j is 1 and I is 1. So your inner range will be what? 2. So J's range will be 2. So 1 to 4, 1 to 2. Okay, that is how it is. Now what will be printed? Now I will be printed. Okay, I will be printed how many times? I will be printed, that many I plus 1 times. Okay, I plus 1 minus 1 times. Okay, so when you look at here, see here, so initial value of J. So can we just try this and see? So when you take this, so when you take here, so initially your I value is basically what? I value is basically, say I have given the n as 3. Just imagine that I have given the n as 3. Okay, so I value will range from 1 to 4. Okay, and my J value will range from what? J from 1 to 1 plus 1, so 2. Okay, so this is how it is now. Okay, so this is the range of I and this is the range of J. So 4I is equal to 1, J will range from 1 comma 2. Right, now what you have to print? You have to print I. Okay, you have to print I, then it is empty string, so it will come to the new line, right? So what will happen? It will print that. Now again it will go and check 2, so it will break. Okay, it will break. So in your output, in the first line you will have 1, right? So this is your output. Okay, so first line you will have 1. Now what you have to do? You will go back and you will increment your I. So when you increment, so you have just come out from the inner loop, you have actually come out from the inner loop, and now where will the control go? The control will go to the outer loop. So now your I will be incremented to what? 2. Okay, for I is equal to 2, you will again fix your J. What would be your J? Your J will be from 1 to 2 plus 1, so 1 to 3. Okay, so 1 to 3, what you have to print? You need to print I, right? So what is your I? Your I is basically 2, right? So 1 2 is printed. Now will it break? No. Again your J will be equal to 2 2 3. Yes, it is within the range. So what will happen? You have already printed 1 2 there. Again you will be printing one more 2, right? So this is your initial 2 which is there, and you will print one more 2, right? Now what you will do? Now it will break, right? So for the next checking, your inner loop will break. Okay, inner loop will break. Now your I will be again incremented to what? I will be incremented to 3. So for J is equal to 3, what would be your thing? It will be like 1 to 4. Okay, so what will be printed? It will go from 1 to 4, 2 to 4, like that it will go, and it will print 3 different 3. So you will get the output like 2 2, then you will get an output of 3 3 3. Okay, so see here, when you print this particular program, you will say, if I am giving 3 as my rows, you will get 1, then again you will have 2 2, then you will have 2 3. So this is how actually it will do. So by default, the print function ends with a new line. So that is how. So it will go to the new line. So every print function will end with a new line. So it will go to the new line and it will print each of this. Right. So now we will move on to the next one. So the next one is actually just to find out the vowels in the input sentence. So you are given with an input sentence. So you are actually getting the sentence from the user, and you need to use a function called split. So what will this sentences dot split function will do? Okay, so there is a method called split. So this split function, what it will do is that sentences into words, right? So this method split a string into a list where each word is a list item. Okay, so that means that, say if I am giving Sini, actually what it will do is that it will simply split the words, and it will give it. So say it's like length of the words less than 4, it will split. So and see whether the length of the words is less than 4, what it will do? It will say that, wow, you got it right, because it's less than 4. No, it is greater than 4, because it is Sini Rajpulari here. So it is actually greater than 4. You will get it right. Okay, so say if I am giving like I am Sini, okay, and if I run enter, you need to type more words. So it will say that you need to type more than 3 words, right? So you will enter it again. Okay, so this is how it will work. Say if you enter this as I am Sini Raj, okay, when you click enter, it will say that, wow, you got it right, because you have to enter more than 3 words, right? So this is how it will work. Now the next one is actually related to the dictionary. So this is the important part which we need to actually hear. So in this, this is your a dictionary. This is the name of the dictionary, and in your dictionary you have this key value pairs, right? You are given with key value pairs are actually given here, right? Now in the dictionary you have different things. You can iterate through the keys, you can iterate through the values, you can iterate through the items. So all these three things are actually basically possible in the dictionary in Python, right? So here we have actually iterated through the key value. So keys are basically unique, right? Or if you have multiple keys like that, then the latest key will be overwritten, right? So that is how it will work. So now when you look at it, for each key in a dictionary, what you will have to do, you need to print the key. So you will take the first key, you will actually print the key itself. You will take the second key, you will print the key itself. So this is the key, right? And you will go to the third key value pair and you will print the key. So finally you will be printing the keys in this, right? So now say if you are looking at this is a small thing which actually tells you about job description and its corresponding. Say a person is working multitasking, so a person can tutor and he is getting 5600 BD, and he is actually freelancing, he is getting 3500, and he is acting as a business analyst, he is getting 5000. Now what would be his total income? So it's just a summation. So initially when you do a sum also, you will take your total income variable. It's just a summation variable, so you are actually giving it as a floating point value and 0, right? Now what you are doing for value in income dot value. So this is your incomes, right? So incomes dot values are these three values, right? These are the values in the key value pair. These are the values. So you are now traversing through this dictionary with the help of the values, right? So you are actually taking the first value. Now what are you doing? You are actually adding it with the total income. So 0 plus 5600. Then in the next iteration, then 5600 plus 3500. Then in the next iteration, both plus 5000, right? And you will be printing the final output. So this is how it will work. So normal traversing function. Now the next one is actually to identify the frequency of a string. I mean, like you are entering a particular word, say a test string Django, you need to identify the frequency of each character in this particular Django, right? So you are actually learning about a new function called get. Okay, so the get actually have takes maximum of 2 parameters. One is actually the key. So key to be the searched in the dictionary, and value, it is nothing but value to be returned if the key is not found. Okay, so if the value is not there, what should be the value? That say if you have get of keys dot 0, if the key is found, what it will happen? It will simply print the key is found, right? That's all. If the key is not found, okay, the 0 value has to be returned. That's how it works. So now the test string is basically Django. Now initially your result is actually 0. Now you are searching with the help of which one? Keys in the test string, right? So when you look for the keys in the string, you are getting keys comma 0. So if the key is found, what you have to do? You have to actually add it plus 1, right? So the count of occurrences, what you will do is that, so you will take D, you will check whether it is there in the Django, then if it is there, you will actually identify the value. Like that, you will actually traverse through each and every character, and you will actually print the count of each and every one. Okay, so the count of all the character will be actually printed. So here the str of result is nothing but str of result will simply give you the character. So it character value will be actually given to you. So that's all it is. So this is nothing but simple get function. So using the get function, it can actually take a key value pair. It will act like a key value pair. Now the next one which you have to see is about the password generation. So for the password generation, you are importing 2 packages. So one is actually the string and the other one is actually random, right? So you are actually getting an input, say input password length, you are actually getting it from the, so you need to create a strong password. So that's what, so you need to create, the password has to be generated following certain things, right? So you need to ask the user that, whether you have entered the digits, the letters, the special characters, and if he is entering 4, you have to, so you're actually getting the choices. So if I enter 1, he has to enter digits, 2, it's letters, like that. And initially the character list is 0. Now you need to set the password, right? So while true, so you are actually getting picking the number, and this will be entered by the user, right? If the choice is 1, what you have to do, you have to add letters to the possible characters. Now if it is 2, then you have to add digits. If it is 3, you have to add and else if it is 4, you have to break, and otherwise if the person is not adding anything, then you have to check, like something which is not within the list, you have to add like it's a invalid option, right? Please pick a valid option. So when you look at here, so you have these choices. So this is an if, right? So it is else if, else if, else if, and then you have an else, which is this is the default condition, right? So that you know. Now initially your password is actually given as nothing, it's just a simple one, right? So now how will you identify that? You will actually take a random character. So picking a random character from a character list, right? So you have a character list, from there you are actually picking the random character. How can you do that? You have this random dot choice function, and what will you do? You have to append it along with the password, right? And you have to finally join it and print the password. So these are the functions which you have. So initially when you say here you are actually asking for the password length, so my password length has to be 4. Now I need to enter the choice. So say if I am giving 3, okay, now my second choice, so I have to give 4 choices, right? So now I need to pick up a number, so I will pick up, I want a digit. Now I want a special, so I want a letter, okay. I also want one more digit, right? So this is how it is. Now again what I need to do is that I need to have a say if I give 4, so till I give 4 it will just keep moving on. If I give 4, you will say that the password is actually WTGL. So first I went for a 3, so it's a special character, right? So it is actually randomly, so this is like a random password which is actually generated, because here we are actually getting a random, because even though we give this option, so with that particular option it will take randomly, it will choose, and that it will randomize that character list and actually append it to the password and give it to you. That's all, right? So this is one example which you could use. So you can actually improvise this in a better way, so that is also possible. Now the last one is actually a simple program where you will do about the rock paper scissor. Okay, so you have learned, this game called rock paper scissor, right? So how will you do this rock paper scissor? So there are various ways of doing it. So this is one simple way of doing it. Okay, so you have to roll the, so you have various instructions which are actually given. So what is the instructions and everything? Rock crushes. So these are the rules which are actually, instructions which are actually given, right? Instruction for the rock paper scissor is this one. Rock crushes scissors and scissors cutters, and this is for the lizard spoke. Lizard spoke is again, if you have rock paper lizard and spoke, so if you are playing with all this, what would be the instructions, right? So you are actually, for the rock paper scissor, you are actually defining it, and you are actually getting all this help, and you are printing everything, and this for the player. So you will check whether there is a help function also, and you are checking whether it is rock is given or whether it is a player move is 0, and if whether he has actually taken paper, then what it is, then if it is scissor, what it is, else he will get a wrong output. Okay, so that is how it is. So now you have to get the computer move randomly, so you will actually random dot rand int. So these are all the random functions which you will take. So in this you have to make the computer choose it, so you will make the computer choose from that, and then you will take the both the player move and the comp move. This is computer move. You will take both the move, and you will form a table, and you will actually compare. So if the winner is equal to player move, you will win, otherwise you will fall. This is how actually it works. So the same thing will repeat for your LPLS also. So this is so basically where will you start from? So this is your main function where you will start from. So here you will actually give the choice and enter your choice, and you can actually start. This is where the choice function where it comes, right? So see which so first, if you when you run this, it will ask me for the name. So one is me and one is a computer, right? So I need to enter which choice, which I need to take. So I will take, say, rock paper scissor itself. So now I need to go with the move, right? So if I need to go with the move, okay, so I need to enter the values. So here in the rock paper scissor, these are the instructions, right? So in the instructions I need to move. So if I print, so I can give 0. If I give 0, okay, so wrong input, so I'm giving rock. So the computer is actually making a move. It will just randomly take scissors, and it's just one time play, and it will just win. So it is just randomly picking up this, how this function works. It's randomly picking up with the help of this random pick. Okay, so there is something called this function which will help it to take a random dot rand int. From there it will take one of the random number, and so it's just one time play. I mean, like, I'm giving something and the computer will make a move random, so it's just randomly, it's a random function which selects that, and it will convert into the whichever it is, and it says scene events. That's all. So these are the few examples which you could actually work on, and there are various examples and options where you can start working on, and you can build your knowledge with. But the main thing which you want, or the basics which you require for Django or the MongoDB, is basically this dictionaries. So dictionaries, if you could work a little bit more, you'll be able to come out with a good idea. So this is just a simple example, where simple examples which we have seen. We have actually started from the simple example, and we have actually progressed towards big examples. So like that, you can actually take, and you can go to the code chef, and you can start working with the beginner level, and then you can just move on to the advanced levels. So beginner 1 level is there, so all these levels you could do that. So there are so many resources. W3 resources has got good and simple programs available there. So all these places you can actually go try and make your hands dirty. When you get stuck while working, when you get stuck with somewhere, always get the help of Google Stack Overflow. You will get some answers. So try to make yourself comfortable in troubleshooting. That is also very, very important when you're working as a developer. So that's all. So thank you so much. So you have learned a lot today. So now you need to make your hands dirty, and yeah, if you have any confusions or anything like that, get back to me. Thank you so much.